This is Gracelyn Keller with the Becker's Business and Private Equity Podcast, and I am joined today by Adam Coffey, who has a lot going on. He's a consultant, a CEO coach, a private equity expert, a three-time best-selling author, and he just released a book 10 days ago called Empire Builder. So, Adam, thanks so much for joining me today, and I would love to have you just introduce yourself quickly before we get into it.
Well, thanks for having me here, and hello to all your listeners out there. My name's Adam Coffey. Generally, when I meet people for the first time, I tell them 4 things about me. Number 1, I'm a veteran. Veterans Day is coming up here real quick. And so military taught a young version of me, something about discipline, teamwork, leadership. Engineer and a pilot. Engineering made me a meticulous planner. As a pilot, we never take off without knowing where we're going. So actually being a pilot taught me about planning for an exit in business or planning for a destination. And then I spent 10 years at General Electric during the Jack Welch era. GE is the world's largest company. Tech doesn't exist yet. Fortune #1, and the company is growing so fast, it's doubling in size every 2.8 years. And so proving that giant companies can double in size and grow at a 30+% compound annual growth rate. GE taught me how to run a business. And then 4th, I spent a career 21 years as a CEO of 3 different national companies that were owned by 9 different private equity firms. I was a buy and build guy. I bought 58 companies, put them together. I have billions in exits. And about 2 years ago, I got bored. I was tired of just running one company, looking for a new challenge. I wanted to help multiple companies at a time. I put out my first book. It's a cult classic back in 2019. And as you said, I just released my 3rd book. It's called Empire Builder, just about 10 days ago. And so I'm now working with private equity, helping them evaluate investments. I work with entrepreneurs who are scaling businesses and potentially exiting to private equity. And then I'm teaching seminars globally and having a lot of fun and accomplish my goal. I'm helping multiple people at a time rather than just running one company. I help them with strategy. They're responsible for tactical execution. And that lets me work with, dozens of entrepreneurs at a time rather than just building one company. So it's been a lot of fun. So that's my story.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for taking the time. And I would love to jump in to start talking about your book. Can you give us a little taste of what readers will expect to find in this new book?
Yeah. So for those out there who follow me on social media or listen to me on podcasts or have read my books, bless you. Private Equity Playbook was all about just a subject matter of private equity. And I find even to this day that most of the educated entrepreneurial world just has a real basic failure to understand what private equity is and how it works. And then I wrote the exit strategy, which again was subject matter expertise about how to exit a business for the maximum value. Empire Builder is about the journey. It's about building a company. It's about the different stages of growth, about getting out of the gates. I was doing statistical research for a seminar that I was teaching, and I came across some shocking numbers. There's 33 million small businesses in America today. They represent 99.9% of all companies in the country. They employ half of the companies or the country's workforce. But only 7% of them ever get to $1 million of revenue. And only 4% of those ever get to $10 million of revenue. And it really got me thinking about why is it so difficult for people to get business right and to be successful? And so Empire Builder is about going from 0 through the first 100,000 to 1 million. So it's the stages of growth, 0 to 1 million, 1 million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million, then 100 million up to 1 billion. A road that I've traveled multiple times as a CEO. And, I started looking at what are the kinds of behaviors entrepreneurs need to exhibit in order to be successful, in order to be one of the 7% that get to a million in revenue, and how to be one of those 4% of the 7% that get to 10 million. And, I'm a guy who's built businesses with hundreds of millions in revenue. And, it's like, I want to teach them how to get all the way up, call it to that $1 billion mark. And so Empire Builder is kind of the roadmap. It's the treasure map on how to think about these different stages, what tools to use as you're growing through these different stages. At what point do you exit your business and start to monetize and diversify your own net worth? And so that's what Empire Builder is all about. It's about the tactical execution of building a business from startup to $1 billion.
Wonderful. Well, I think that there's probably a lot of really great information to find within that book. And you've clearly had an incredible career yourself. So I would love to ask if you have some advice that you could give listeners who are looking to build a business, looking to be as successful as you. And I'm sure probably a lot of your advice is also in the book, but if you want to share one or two things with our listeners today.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the great Warren Buffett once said, invest in what you understand. And I like to call it invest in what you know. And so when I think about that in building a business, think about our economy and the cycles it goes through and how volatile our world is today, and the wars going on and pandemics and these, recessions, inflation, high interest rates, there's all this stuff going on that's out there. And so I tell people, if you're just starting out, think about building a company that focuses on needs, not wants. If I live in a house, I need a place to live. That's a basic human tenet. I need a place to live. So if I'm a real estate investor, I probably should focus on apartments or single family homes and rentals and things like that. Probably not commercial office buildings because frankly, not as many people are sitting in offices, and we've got this big turmoil, in commercial real estate right now. Not a good place to be. When I think about a product company, I think about products that are based on needs, not wants. It's like, I want a new suit, but I don't have to have a new suit. I need new blades for my razor, or I need toothpaste, or I need dog food for my dog. It's like, think about needs versus wants, because in a down economy, consumers, even, whether it's B2B or B2C, in a downturn, they can forego spending on wants literally forever if they want to. And so if I build a business, I want to focus on needs. I ran this commercial laundry company once upon a time during the Great Recession. And guess what? I can tell you with statistical certainty that unemployed people don't do as much laundry as employed people, but even unemployed people still have to do laundry. So if you focus on building an empire around needs, not wants, you can create an empire that is a little bit insulated from the effects of all of this turmoil that goes on in the economy. So that's one. Second thing I'll tell you, while only 7% of businesses get to $1 million of revenue, the reason why 93% of people fail when they're building a business is essentially because they're not focused on getting unit level economics properly dialed in. I can't tell you how many companies that I've bought or have looked at, or have entrepreneurs I've talked to who said, Adam, if I just get bigger, I'll figure out how to make money when I'm bigger. It's like, no, wrong answer. We need to figure out how to build the perfect small business, because a good performing small business will actually be something that's scalable and become a even more profitable large business. But if I can't make it work small, walk away. We don't want to waste time. Time's the one thing we can't buy. We have finite amount of time on earth to build our careers to build our companies during our careers. So we have to focus on needs, not wants. We have to get the economics, the unit level economics right, small, in order to build something that's scalable. Then I can build a simple mathematical formula around my unit level economics. If I'm building a landscape maintenance company, guys out there who are cutting grass and lawns every day, it's like, how much does it cost to have one crew, one lawnmower, one blower, one weed whacker, one truck to put that stuff in? How much revenue can they generate? Once I figure out the unit level economics, which is one crew, I can then take my $1 million target, divide it by the number, the amount of revenue that one crew can produce. And I know how many crews I need to get to $1 million. I can use that for 10 million. As we get bigger, I talk about the, planning for the exit in advance. Private equity companies really start buying at about 4 million of EBITDA. And the first two natural exit points are 4 million of EBITDA and about 10 million of EBITDA. And if I build a $4 million EBITDA business, I'm going to sell it for about $24 to $32 million, somewhere in that range. And if I build a $10 million EBITDA business, then I'm going to sell it for over 100 million. And so I'm thinking about, where do I want to sell it for the first time? Here's an alert for all your listeners out there. Don't think of selling your company as a one and done event. Think of, I think my personal record in 13 years, 4 months, a few hours, I sold the same company 5 times. It's like, why sell the great company once when you can sell a great company twice? And so, I talk about all of these different things, in the book, but it's really about focus on needs, not wants. Get it dialed in small, make it profitable small, figure out the formula to scale it to these different levels, have a destination in mind. I can teach anybody how to become, call it a decamillionaire or to live the 9-figure dream. And it's easier than you think once you know the secrets and you know the path.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, such great advice. And I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and joining me today and giving our listeners so much food for thought and just really strong advice about all of these topics. And again, your book, Empire Builder, just came out. So definitely check that out if you had enjoyed this episode and are interested in learning more about that.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Good luck to all your listeners out there. And I appreciate you.
Thank you.